So the first thing is classroom management, right?
Okay.
So one of the things I would tell you that I really love is the fact that when you're teaching online, you have the ability to record everything in that classroom, the students' engagement, whatever be the case. So I tell kids all the time, like, look, I ain't no snitch. I'm telling. It's a difference between snitching and telling. This is about classroom management, redirection, engagement. It's basically recording classes. Just take a look at how we do this or how I approach it. Not have to record class, but if you want to perform, I'll make sure that Mr. Cotton gets a copy of this video with you zoomed in on your face. I will edit it in HD, 4K, to make sure your parents can see in high definition you not following directions. Now, if you don't want your nana watching this on top of a cell phone, like, why is my baby acting crazy? I strongly suggest you go ahead and get logged in. Voice on 0. Rule number 1, let me hear you say go. You don't have to scream it. Rule number 1, let me hear you say go.
Follow directions the first time.
All right, my back row, my gentleman on the back row, I'm looking right at you guys, not saying it. Rule number 1, let me hear you say go.
Follow directions the first time.
A couple good things I think are worth mentioning on this one. One, on the video, commenting to the kids in the back, letting them know that they're seen.
As much as possible, I try to refer to individual kids by their names. If you say their names, they're like, oh, they're just more aware that they're implicated, involved.
So you follow what we are on this, like, don't go long periods of time without pulling out engagements. So after I give a direction and not on there, I'm engaged with nothing. Rule number 1, let me hear you say go. Follow directions the first time. Rule number 2, I'm gonna get them back with that to keep them going. Or if you can hear me clap once, boom. I don't let the class go long periods of time without pulling them back in to be engaged. Exactly. This is self-explanatory. Keys on cam. Good, Darrell. Make sure you hold your Chromebook. Go to keys on cam. Good. Kylie, keys on cam. Kylie, keys on. You got to hold your Chromebook so you don't knock your keyboard over. Axel, keys on cam. Axel, keys on cam. Jonathan Lopez, keys on cam. Saul, bring your camera down some more. Calling their names. Diana, your camera, bring it up a little bit. Emilio, that's good. Evilia, keys on cam.
There's a keyboard right there that we can only see the black keys.
Mm-hmm.
You want to just ask them, push the screen up a little bit, because we got to at least see their fingers and wrists on there too. And if we see the black keys and we don't see the fingers, so that's just something that they learn it after time. But just at the beginning, you want to hit them. Hey, just, whoever that kid is, hey, Tony, just pull your screen up a little bit. We got to see your fingers and the keys.
Jonathan Lopez, keys on cam. Saul, bring your camera down some more. Diana, your camera, bring it up a little bit. Emilio, that's good. Especially when you first starting out. Abraham, that's good. Hammer it with them. Hammer it with them. Make sure they get that solid. It's worth the time. All right, face on cam. Face on cam. It's worth it. You guys are doing good.
Yeah, it's worth spending the time at the beginning to get this going. It saves a lot of time in the long end once they get a feel for it.
All right, here we go. You guys are doing good now. Now we're going to go. So the other thing on face on cam is when you give them these direction keys on cam, face on cam, don't go forward until everybody does it. Sometimes you'll hear me, I'll keep repeating their name. Lewis, face on cam. Lewis, face on cam. Lewis, face on cam. Lewis, come on now. You know what I mean? That's where the basic stuff, everybody should be able to do this. Keys on cam, face on cam. That's basic engagement. If you want to sit there and do nothing, you're going to fight to do nothing. Chris Ruboloza, face on cam. I can't see your face. Camera on, Kanaya. Camera on, Chris. Somebody help Chris. Okay, Chris is on. Thank you, Chris. Kanaya, face on cam. Kanaya, face on cam.
And sometimes what happens is there'll be one person that doesn't have their camera on. You're like, come on, man, turn your camera on. Check your chat at that point, because sometimes the cameras aren't working or there's other technical reasons, and they may be responding to you in the chat. So,
got you. Okay,
yeah, that's something that just happened. So you don't want them to be frustrated, because then they feel very disconnected.
And so also too, if you have everyone on and the keys are not on, another thing you can do is ask a student in there, be like, hey, is Kanaya at her desk? He says, Kanaya's camera working? Sometimes it could be a camera not working or anything like that. You also have the ability, the on-site instructor should be listening in some kind of way to where you can have the on-site instructor, the person that's physically in the classroom, look at it as well too. Your ultimate goal is to get all cameras on. That's how you know that everybody's able to be engaged. All right, so let's run this next portion right here. This one are the three. We're gonna go back through the rules, guys. We're gonna start through the rules because it's our first day together, and I think it's a good way to start out because when you guys kicked off today, you came in a little loud. Loud kids give me a headache. I don't like having headaches, okay? So let's not give Mr. Ken a headache, and let's not give Mr. Kang a headache because Mr. Kang and Mr. Ken are too old. Pay attention. Here we go. Voice on 0. Rule number 1, let me hear you say go.
Follow the directions of the first time.
All right, guys, I do not want to repeat. So let me tell you other thing too about the lag. Remember about the lag. If you do stuff in rhythm, they're not going to give it back to you in the same timing. You know, so what I try to do is sort of like, you know, if you're playing a song like with a band and the drummer's off beat, and you know, I keep bobbing so I can make sure I can come back on the 1. It's the same thing I do with this. Rule number 1, let me hear you say go. Rule number 2, that way I can stay on tempo so it'll still feel on beat to them. But if you try to go with doing anything with tempo, the latency between the locations and the technology is gonna screw you up on that approach.
Yeah.
If you're doing like a call and response or something like that, you just gotta keep the tempo in your head like you're playing with a drummer on the solo. All right, guys, I do not want to repeat directions with you guys. Rule number 1, let me hear you say go.
Follow the directions of the first time.
I love it, I'm loving it, I'm loving it. All right, rule number 2, let me hear you say go.
On task, on cam.
On cam, on task. Don't say it backwards. Rule number 2, let me hear you say go.
On cam, on task.
You guys are awesome. I remember why I love you guys.
Do your
Give me that rule number 3.
Do your best.
Thank you, that's much better. So that's running through the rules, those 3 rules. My first time teaching it, I'm gonna roll with it a little bit, take my time on it, but I'm not even gonna make them totally memorize it right there, because in essence, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep drilling it all the way through the lesson. Rule number 1, let me say go, follow the right, especially the first few lessons. I'm very light on content, very heavy on culture. Because if you can get them to on cam, on task, hands on keys, if you can get them with all that stuff right there, on face on cam, keys on cam, all eyes on me, you hear me clap once, if you can do those things and keep them in control, it makes the lesson and the teaching so much easier.
Let me see really quickly. Everybody show me finger number 1.
It's just a game, 1, 2, 5 game. I do a finger number. It's an example.
Show me finger number 2. Good, very good. All right, show me finger number 5. You guys are doing good. You guys are doing good.
All right, notice on the game, it's a game that tests finger numbers, but when we did face on cam earlier, one of the biggest things I like about doing face on cam is I try to get it set up to where I can see a child's face, a little bit of their body. So when they do finger number exercise or whatever they're doing, it's right there. Like a lot of times, if you spend the time to get face on cam right, it's better, because what'll happen is sometimes students will they'll mess around and they'll set up and their computer will only show this much of their face and a whole bunch of other stuff. And you can't really see all that. So face on cam is super important to give them that training in the beginning. The more I've done face on cam, now I'm telling them, hey, I want to see the top of your head. I want to see a little bit of your body. That way I can get your hands without you having to put them all the way up there.
Yeah, that's another thing I've been doing is I got a new call, which is hands on cam, which is
Hands
right
on
about
cam. I like
hands on cam. I've been doing that a lot. And yeah, so you try to get their hands just about match up between their eyes and their mouth, and get that whole thing going on. And then that way, if the camera's off a bit, you're still going to be able to get it. So
you want to be in control of your classroom. You know what I'm saying? You have to be engaged on it the whole time. Can't just hit play on the video and let it
Good.
go.
yeah.
All right, show me
And
finger
in
number
fact,
5.
I'm sorry, I keep talking just because I've been thinking this. The more you talk to them and have little commands, the more engaged they are. Because every time they do an activity, bling, their brain, it tells them again, wake up, it's time to do stuff.
Yeah, don't go more than 2 or 3 minutes without engaging. Like, what we call it is PIE, P-I-E. Got to play it, party with them, pause it, interact with them, engage. You know what I mean? All of those things are critical.
Because I'm asking 3 or 4 people, Jose, I've asked you about 4 times to get engaged. Get your hands up on the screen. Go over the finger number exercises. Here we go.
Use finger 4. Use 1, 2, 3 to brush your teeth.
Jose,
Or 1,
hands
2,
up.
3 to comb your hair. But wiggle
Hands up,
4
you're
now.
wiggling 4.
Wiggle 4. Wiggle 4. Wiggle some more. Is it burning? I know it's burning, baby. I know it's burning. Wiggle 4.
Axel,
and stop.
hands up. Come on,
Now,
bro.
pinky.
So the other thing is right here, keeping them engaged. So I say interrupt, that other eye is interrupt. Party,
Good. Those are
interrupt
all
the
your
video.
numbers. Let's review one more time. Wiggle 1.
Because the whole thing is, I think I
Pointer
found
fingers
out like
number 2.
interrupting,
Wiggle 2.
like if you're teaching with the learning program on our ensemble block, you know, kids would try to interrupt it, you know, to disrupt it disrupt it in a normal classroom. But for you to be on site and instructing, you're interrupting like, what? You see what's going on? And getting up, man, kids respond to it. Like, this dude's gonna interrupt the video. Kids respond to it.
Okay.
Middle fingers number 3. Ring fingers number 4. And pinkies number 5. Good. Now you know your fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
All right, do me a favor real quick. Everybody show me finger number 1. Show me finger number 1. That's the thumbs. Good. Show me finger number 2. Jose, try. Show me finger number 5.
It's all about
All
staying
right, let's keep
engaged.
going, guys.
Use the curriculum, stay engaged with
We're
it.
almost there. We're going to review the finger numbers. We're going to rock the
I'm up in the top corner. I'm gonna be interacting with them. This is really where I'm gonna try to party with them and connect with them.
I can't see your hands, Giselle. Alex, get your hands on the keys. Turn your hands over, Giselle.
Notice I can see the full class.
Okay.
So I got it set up to where I can see the whole class.
Jose, switch. Click that way, Jose.
Whole time I'm gonna be calling names, partying with them. Like I see this girl's looking down, but she might be looking at her fingers. This one doesn't have hands on cam. So I can see right now, but their head's moving a little bit. Some kids are getting it even though they're not using a hand. But I just want to see some activity. I want to see the music making them move a little bit. And as soon as this is over, I'm gonna go right to actually doing the testing with them. Let me speed it up a little bit.
Time, baby. You got to be strong to do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got it. Do me a quick favor. Show me finger number 1.
Finger number 1.
Finger number 2.
I'm making them engaged.
Finger number 5. Finger number 2.
Axel, come
Finger
on.
number 1. You guys got it. I'm sure you got it. Let's keep rolling.
So another thing is I make them respect the person on the content, the video, the same way as they're on there. Like if it's one with my son, I'm like, hey guys, say what's up to Mr. Jordan. Hey, Mr. Jordan. All right. Then I kick it like, hey guys. I do as much as I can to try to make that person an integral part of what we're doing.
You guys are doing good. Here's Mr. Jordan.
All right, guys, it's time to look at the keyboard. The keyboard has both white keys and black keys, but today we're going to focus on the black keys. The black keys are set up in
Jonathan
groups of
Lopez,
2s
don't unmute
and
again.
3s.
Couple things we disable. We don't allow the students to unmute themselves. We don't allow them to chat in between students. They can only chat directly to a host or a co-host. And then what we do so that the teacher that's in the classroom can unmute and all of that stuff, we give co-host privileges to the teacher that logs in, co-host privileges to any laptops that they add in. That way they can unmute themselves. Because you got to stay control of that mute all. You know what I mean? If something starts back like crazy, you want to hit mute all, and then you'll be able to unmute yourself. The on-site instructor can unmute themselves, and you can pick who else you want to unmute.
This is a group of 2.
Good,
Last
making
but not
it
least,
right.
this is a group of 2 as well. Awesome, guys. Awesome. So, piano has
Abraham,
groups of
on
2s
camera.
and 3s. Remember that, guys. The black notes on the keyboard are also in a repeating pattern. Check it out. We start with a group of 2,
Then what?
then a group of 3,
Interrupts.
then 2.
So there's interruption. I'm interrupting the flow.
Honestly, the more you pause it, the better.
The better.
We just want
That's
to
what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
we want to verify.
And then the other thing is I would watch the video before you teach. That way you kind of know what's going on because you might pause to do something that's going to be covered right afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Just if you watch the videos are only about like some 6 or 10 minutes. It's worth the preparation on it to kind of know what's happening with it. We'll eventually pass out some summaries, but we want you to play the video as the curriculum because that's tied into everything. It ties into the standards. It ties into everything that the schools are expecting and that they're paying us to bring in. But in between, use your magic to ensure that they know the knowledge. Because you might
Exactly.
teach finger numbers a different way. You might be like, give me finger number 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 5, 1, 1, 5, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 1. You know what I'm saying? You might do whatever. Use your magic, but just make sure you build it off of the curriculum. That way it's systemic.
Okay.
You got the flexibility on it. The only thing we would tell you is just pacing, right?
Gotcha.
Pacing is like, you you got to get 3 of these things done in a lesson, you just want to do what it takes to get them to learn it. If getting them to learn it takes further things, or if you look and you see that the class has got it as a group, move forward. But you can use the games that you like and that work with you. Or what we would say is, share them. If it works and it's popping and it goes really good, let us know so we can check it out as well.
First off, you guys remember Keys on Cam? Let's go Keys on Cam really quickly. Keys on Cam.
More structured.
First off, let me see your hands in position. Let me see who remembers how to get their hands in position. Okay, Allison, that's awesome. Okay. Voice on 0. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. Please pay attention. All right. If you have your hands in the right position, Kendall, your camera's too low. Kendall, bring your camera up a little bit where I can see it a little bit better. Good. This is good. All right. I'm looking now to see whose hands are in the correct position to do pentascale. Amari Conley, your hands are in the right position. Amari, please listen. Amari, I'm going to switch you over to Amari Conley because you are rocking. Amari, I'm going to switch you over to Amari. Go to face on cam. Amari, go to face on cam. Amari, go into top players, room number 1. Go into room number 1, top players for me. All right, I'm still looking who else is going to go to top players. Reyes, fix your camera so I can see. Jemiah, you can go to room number 1. Jemiah Davis, room number 1. Allison Cortez, room number 1.
So this is just a breakout and a breakout rooms. So I think that's pretty much everything over here. You're just seeing a level of me switching them over in the breakout rooms. This is something else I do real quick. Just guys over here, I'm gonna go from that. Look at my face real quick. Everybody show me finger number 1 in the camera. Again. Both hands. I can't see Allison. Allison, I don't see you doing it. Kanaya, I don't see you participating. Aiden, bring your camera on. Hands down. Hands down. Show me finger number 2. Let's review this. So just little small things to keep them engaged. I think this is.
All right, raise your hand if you know your finger numbers. Thumbs up if you got your finger number solid. Thumbs up if you got your finger number solid, so I know who's got it. Braylon, you don't have it? Hold the thumbs up so I can see if you got your finger number solid.
That's one other thing I'll do, thumbs up. Like, hey guys, if you got a thumbs up, if you're struggling, right here, if you really need help, send a chat to your instructor and let them know, blah, 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 blah. And I'll put that on a lot of new videos, but.
Yeah, and especially it's that, and that. This is a biggie because you often get a lot of kids that are just sort of in between. So then that just means just go back a bit, repeat it some more, and because the goal is to be moving 80% of the people along smoothly, so that we don't get too much boredom on the top or the low end. So it's like thumbs up means everything is fine. This is like a lot of kids are like, well, that's just
like
sort of
they want more practice.
They want more practice. Yeah. Just that means they're sort of they're a bit unsure, but they're not dumbfounded. And we haven't even taught the kids that. They just kind of after a while begin to. I mean, if you sort of say, you really got it, a little more help, you unsure, or you don't get it. You do that a few times, and then the kids just sort of understand, and then they'll start communicating that way.
So do you hold the class for the ones that need a little bit more time?
No. So the whole thing here's how ultimately what you're looking at. The curriculum we're designing again to try to get 80% going. If kids fall behind, we're going to keep the curriculum going to a point where we can segment it, right? You got the kids that are high flyers, top players, the ones that are in the middle, and the ones that are behind. Ultimately, you're trying to move the class forward. So one thing you might have to do is say, okay, hey, This particular class right here, you guys, we got 80% of the kids through. Okay, do me a favor, guys. If you need, show me thumbs up if you got it. Boom, thumbs up. Okay, right there. Boom. Okay, if you're not right there, do me a favor. Send me in the chat the word help. Boom. Now you got a list of people who say need help, 10 that you got later on. Let's switch gears and I'm gonna show you this real quick. Now let's say we go to where are you gonna record this information, because this is also super critical, right? When you finish a lesson, the information doesn't just disappear. You're gonna put the information inside here. So say, for example, for Beachfield Elementary School, right? In Beachfield, all of these kids got points, but say 10 of them needed help. In a notes section, I might say we need some additional help over by there, whatever be the case. So we're gonna record all this information afterwards right here. So
Okay.
for example, if this was one class and 5 people didn't get the information, but 2 did, we're gonna know to go back in here and put this information, differentiate it so you can move forward later. So the key is to know who's coming and what do they need, right? Overall, our view on the teaching aspect of it. We feel like we're teaching kids 3 things, thinking skills. The first one is identification, right? Second thing we're teaching them is comprehension. Third thing we're teaching them is fluency. And if you think about it, all of these things are required in music, right? You have to identify quarters, halves, wholes. You have to comprehend how long to hold, where to play, grand staff, whatever. And fluency is a measure of how effectively or gracefully your mind and your defined motor skills can execute what you identify and comprehend. It's no different in reading. They have to identify ABCs, know the sounds, apaka, and then put them into words. And then reading can also be measured in fluency. Identification, comprehension, fluency are reading remediation terms, but they're also very relevant in music because music is reading, but it's also math, it's also science.